Hi, this is Jason Nickleby, Coordinator of Officials with the Minnesota State High School League, and this is Football Officiating Training Tape number 3. We're going to take a look at our basics this week, primarily line of scrimmage mechanics and our spots. And this is just a basic piece that we need to really get done accurately in our games, and it's something that's totally under our control. And when we miss on spots or miss on basic mechanics, it's just a lack of focus, and it's just something that we're all capable of doing very well. We just need to really focus in on our basics and on our basic mechanics, and we'll be in good shape on Friday night. So we're going to focus on line of scrimmage mechanics and our basics this week. Again, not picking on any one official, team, or crew, just trying to learn from these plays and try to have a dialogue as a crew about how we would handle situations in our games. And again, many thanks to our colleagues from Missouri for borrowing these plays to us. So with that, let's get to some plays. Okay, in this play we have 2nd and 4, left hash. We're going to have a running play that ends near the line to gain. And the line of scrimmage officials will kill the clock right away. They have forward progress that has gained the 35-yard line. And if you look at the chains where they're set up, we have the initial chain at the 45, and then the line to gain chain is, or box is set at the 35. If we know ahead of time, line of scrimmage officials, which we should know where the line to gain is, this takes focus, especially if the chains are behind us. We need to focus and understand where the line to gain is before the play so that we don't have an unnecessary measurement like we have here. We know that he gained the 35 and that's where he needed to get to, so absolutely no reason to measure on this play. In fact, if we know that they started a series on a big line, whether it's the nose of the football on a yard line like the 45 here, or the back end of a football on a yard line, etc., we should know that the line to gain was made and we should not have measurements. And this is especially true on a turf field. So this is really not necessary. This takes time away from getting going with the football game. We need to know that the line to gain was the 35 and that by the football just crossing that line, they've made the line to gain. So let's be better on this. Let's focus, understand where the line to gain is prior to the play. Know that if they make a big line that we have a first down, so you can just tell the referee, hey, we have a first down and we can dispense of this. So we don't have unnecessary measurements. We really should only have measurements if we are down maybe deep in the red zone and we didn't start a series on a big line for whatever reason. Then we might have to do it. But outside of that, as long as we know they need to achieve a certain yard line and the football does that, then we need to get on with it, tell the referee it's a first down, and move forward without a measurement. Okay, this play is a follow-up from the last play. Same theme here, 3rd and 11, pass play. The receiver will take it and go out of bounds, kind of gives himself up right near the line to gain, which is at the B33 yard line. And again, we need to have focus, line of scrimmage officials. We need to know where the line to gain is. If we know that they make a certain line or certain part of the field after we started a series on a big line, so in this case, we really should start a series on the 30 or 43 rather. That way, we know if they gain it, it's going to be a first down. We don't have to measure. And because we decide that we're going to have the best eyes in the history of officiating and that this spot was exactly 1 inch short of a big line, not sure why we would do this. Make sure we know the line to gain in advance, and then we know what to do. And you see the coach in the screen not happy with the spot, and I have to say I somewhat agree with them. I think we need to know the line to gain, know if they made it, and either they're going to be clearly short or they're going to have a first down, and we don't want to have a spot where it's 1 inch shy of the line to gain in a situation like this. We should know the line to gain in advance, have focus, and know if they made it or not. And we shouldn't have to have a measurement because, again, the measurement took too long because it was that close. And if it's that close, we should have just put it at where they needed it and give them a first down. Let's move forward. Because now you'll see we have fourth and very short after we put it literally 1 inch shy of the line to gain. And if we would have started on a big line, we would have known that they made it or not. We didn't do that. So now we're left with this situation. 4th and 1, quarterback sneak. And then notice the line of scrimmage official at the top of the screen. He comes in right where the line to gain is supposed to be, or past it. And then look at the line of scrimmage official on the bottom of the screen. He's short. So we just need to be more demonstrative, more forceful, more believable on this spot. This is a critical spot. And look at the coach, not happy. And again, I have to say, I somewhat agree with them. We put ourselves in this hole by not knowing where the line to gain was on the previous possession. Then we put it 1 inch short. And then when we have this ensuing critical spot, we just were not believable. Our credibility was shot already with the coach. And then when we have a critical spot like this, we don't run in and sell it and put the ball down at our feet, which I want to go back to one of the previous plays or the previous play, the third down play. Umpires don't throw the ball to the line of scrimmage official to have them put it down, especially when it's critical. Walk out and hand it to them. We don't want to do that. But again, please focus on the line to gain. Start a series on a big line if at all possible. We don't want to start series on the 43 and 1 inch line because you end up with situations like this one. And then when we have a critical spot, we need to come in and sell it, put the ball down, measure if you have to. But ultimately, if we know the line to gain, we can move forward without a measurement. And that will keep us out of situations like this one. Okay, some more line of scrimmage mechanics. You'll see that we have 1st and 10, pass in the flat, and the receiver is contacted about the 34-yard line. First of all, line of scrimmage officials, let this play progress in front of you. Don't move downfield. Allow it to progress. Then you can work from behind, square off, and then get your spot from there. So that's the first thing that we want to talk about. Second piece, if we stay home and are stationary, we'll have a better vantage point of where this ball carrier is contacted, and then we can have a better idea of forward progress. And as we mentioned, this ball carrier makes it all the way to the 34-yard line when he's initially contacted and driven back. And this is the forward progress point. So you'll see right here, hit about the 34, and we give him forward progress back at the 33. So this is not a correct spot. We want to make sure that we give the yardage that the player earns. So make sure we're stationary so that we can pick this spot up and be accurate. Now, when it comes to coming in and putting it on a spot, line of scrimmage officials, again, as we talked about in the previous clip, we don't need to have the best eyes in the history of officiating. So in this particular case, let's put it at the 34, put the nose of the ball in the 34, and let's move forward. Don't put it on the 34 and 3 inch line. If we're going to have a spot, unless it's absolutely critical to have it down to the inch, like a spot inside the 5-yard line, for example, let's put it where the nose of the ball is on a yard line, or it's exactly halfway, or the back of the football is on a yard line, something along those lines that makes it easier for both you and the umpire to establish what the spot is. And then that also assists us with knowing where the line to gain is when we don't put it on specific yard lines such as the 42 and 1/3. Let's put it in a really obvious spot that helps us with knowing where the line to gain is and so forth, and that will really assist as we move forward. So a couple things just to review: allow this play to proceed, and then let's make sure that we get solid forward progress. Forward progress and spots are our babies as line of scrimmage officials, and we need to be on top of that. Okay, 2nd and 10, pitch play out to the right, running back falls on the loose ball, and then referee comes up to confirm with the linesman what he has, and ultimately it is ruled incomplete. And we'll see here later in the one of the replays here that the line of scrimmage official, the linesman, does signal incomplete one time on this play. So let's talk mechanics. First of all, line of scrimmage officials were not vacating the line until a pass is imminent. So if you notice at the bottom of the screen, the line judge does vacate the line. We don't want to go anywhere, especially when a play is going away from us. Make sure we stay home, help rule on this, because we want the offside wing to be primary and forward backward, because they have a really good vantage point on this play where the linesman doesn't have quite as good of a look on this as it relates to forward and backward. So that's why we say the offside wing is primary, but it doesn't mean that the play side wing can't rule on forward and backward. And then secondly, if the primary official makes a ruling like we have here, you'll see at the bottom of the screen on this next replay, you'll see that the line judge at the bottom of the screen does punch this backwards, which is correct. This is clearly backwards. And if the line of scrimmage official at the top signals incomplete, we can go ahead and get together, have a conversation, and change this to a backwards pass and recovery by the offensive player, because by the time we blow the whistle, we do have recovery on the ground, and we can give the offense the ball at that point and not have an inadvertent whistle in place. So a couple things here mechanically. Know whose primary it is for forward and backward. This is the reason we say the offside wing should take it and be primary, because he is punching it back correctly. And then if we have a disagreement or a mistake like this, where we signal incomplete on a pass that's clearly backwards, or one that's clearly forward, and we allow it to play out, we need to have a conversation as a crew, come to a decision, and move forward. But I think we could have avoided the mistake on this one if we would have utilized proper mechanics and know who's the primary official for ruling on this type of play. In this case, the line judge. And the line judge made the proper ruling, and we need to make sure that if we're mechanically sound, that we follow that. That way we're going to be out of the trick bag on a play like this one. On this play, notice we have 2nd and 7 at about the 8-yard line. So line to gain's at the 1. So we have a line to gain and the goal line involved. So remember, line of scrimmage officials, our initial mechanic is we're going to release to the 5, and then we would float towards the line to gain and the goal line as the play dictates. So in this particular case, we see that the play is moving the way of the line to gain and the goal line. So we would want to move there well before this point so that we could officiate back towards the field of play. So mechanically, let's release to the 5 and then float to the line to gain and the goal line as the play dictates, and this play would dictate that. Second piece, linesmen and line judges both, let's work with the chains. We don't want them this close. We want them at least 2 yards off the sideline, so that we have room to work, especially on a play like this one, because if you have to move backwards and get out of the way, you're not going to have anywhere to go. You're going to run into one of the chains people. So make sure that they're at least 2 yards, and they should be at least 2 yards deep the whole field. So we're too close here, which doesn't allow us to work deep. And then if we're at the goal line, we're going to have a really good look at this as far as forward progress. I think we get the spot right, which is great. But I think we'd put ourselves in a much easier position to get this spot if we just went to the goal line, worked back at an angle so that we were deep, and then we could come back and get the spot. But ultimately, an excellent spot. But remember, line to gain was past the 1, so just remember to kill the clock right away. And then referees, as soon as the ball gets back to the umpire on this, let's wind the clock up and move forward. But good spot. Just remember our mechanics: inside the 10, go to the 5, and then float to the goal line, and then we can work backwards to get forward progress in the field of play if necessary. But ultimately, a good spot here by the linesman. On this play, we have 2nd and goal from the 3, and we're going to have a pass play right about the goal line. And I just want to talk about our mechanics as line of scrimmage officials. So take a look at our positioning at the top of the screen as the linesman. We're almost on the field. For sure, we're at the very edge of the white. And remember, we want to be at least a yard off the sideline to begin the play. And then when we are going to the goal line at the snap, as we do on when the ball is snapped inside the 5, we need to work back at an angle so that we're deep. We want to be near that G pylon, and that will give us a really good depth and perception of the play, especially if it threatens the goal line or threatens the pylon. But in this case, we have a pass play. And if we have a pass like this, maybe best to just stop if you're moving in the midst of the pass so that you can view contact and have a better perspective on that. But what we want to do is be 1 yard off to start the play, and then work backwards at an angle so that we can be deep and be stationary. We don't want to be moving into the field of play to signal incomplete as we do here. So just some things to clean up mechanically. It doesn't hurt us on this play, but if we had a play that was closer to the pylon, threatening the pylon, we wouldn't have been in the best position to officiate that play. So just a couple things to consider and clean up as it relates to our goal line mechanics as line of scrimmage officials. Okay, we have a play that's being snapped from the 6 yard line, and our mechanics, line of scrimmage officials on this play, again, moving to the 5 immediately and then moving to the goal line and or the line to gain as that is threatened and the play develops. And the line of scrimmage official, in this case, the line judge, does a very nice job with this play. This is exactly how we want to handle our mechanics inside the 10, moves to the 5, then moves to the goal line. You see he's back at the G pylon, work deep, which really allows him to have a good vantage point on this play and what to do with it. And he's also out of harm's way, which is maybe most important. So this is excellent mechanics by the line judge here. Moves to the 5 and then moves back at an angle to the G pylon. So he's deep and is stationary at the time that he needs to make a ruling. And we'll see that number 14 is pushed out of bounds. That's what the line judge rules here. Rules that he is out with the ball at roughly the 2 yard line. And if we go back and look at this replay, you'll see that this is a very good spot. You'll see the toe is out of bounds there at the 2 with the ball right above it. So we put the ball at the 2. This is excellent. This is really good judgment, really good mechanics. And because our mechanics are so great, it allows us to make an awesome judgment call like this one. So well done by the line judge. This is exactly what we want. Okay, on this play, we have a pitch play up to the top of the screen towards the linesman. Pitched backwards, ball is muffed and subsequently goes out of bounds at roughly the 11 yard line. So mechanically, referees, make sure we stick with the quarterback here because he is a threat to be fouled. So we don't want him to get just totally blown up because we're watching the football. So we need to stick with him. And then line of scrimmage officials, this goes back to our mechanics and what we talked about on a previous set of plays about who's responsible for forward, backward. Again, we say that the offside wing should be primary, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the near side wing can't rule on it. They should have an opinion on it at least. And in this particular case, the near side wing rules that it's backwards. The line judge at the bottom of the screen does not do anything with this play, which I guess is better than having conflicting signals. We don't want to have conflicting signals. So that part is good. But whoever it is, primary, let's rule on it, and then let's play it on from there. And in this particular case, they properly rule this as a backwards pass. The ball is muffed, and then it goes out of bounds, and the offense will retain possession of the football at the spot that it goes out of bounds, and the game clock will start on the snap, even though we have a play clock that is at 40 seconds and is running. So I think mechanically this is handled very well. Referee sticks with the quarterback to make sure he's not fouled. The play side wing signals backwards and then subsequently allows the muff to play out as a live ball out of bounds, and then the offense will retain it there. The only picky thing I'd say about this linesman is if we're going to put the ball at the spot where it went out of bounds, don't vacate that spot and don't worry about the football. Just go to the spot, make the referee come to you, and you can give an explanation to the referee, or at least until the umpire puts the ball on the ground to confirm your spot. But don't vacate that spot, because if you ultimately decide as a crew to put the ball in play from that spot, which is what is done here, correctly so, we want to make sure that we have the spot and we don't want to leave it. So that's the only picky thing I'd say about this play. But overall, well handled. Referee takes the quarterback, make sure he doesn't get fouled. We allow this to play out as a backwards pass. We punch it, and then we do ultimately put the ball in play at the correct location. So well done by the crew. Okay, that will do it for training tape number 3. Pretty heavy focus on line of scrimmage mechanics and really focusing on our basics. And we want to make sure that we know the line to gain, we know the down, we know how many players are out there for both teams. We have some idea about what might happen in front of us. A referee I used to work for would call it situational baseball, meaning knowing what to do with the baseball before it's hit to you. Same way as an official, we really need to know what we're going to do if certain situations play out, and we don't want to get caught in a surprise or have something come up that we didn't anticipate, because then we get flustered and then we make mistakes. So really, really bear down on our basics this week. Down, distance, line to gain, our mechanics, our communication. If we do that, we're going to be in really good shape. So just some things to focus on for line of scrimmage, and how we as other crewmates can assist line of scrimmage officials and our whole crew in making sure that we get these kind of basic plays correct. So with that, have a great weekend of games. Good luck, stay healthy, stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.